So this is the device that I got to kind of quote-unquote replace my minidiscs with. It's the Yamaha Natural Sound Network Receiver R-N402D. And yeah, there are two different versions of this. There is the D version and an R version. The R version has only analog radio like AM and FM, and the D version has digital radio. So as you can tell, it also supports DAB+. And yeah, like I said, this device is kind of a little bit overkill for what I wanted to do, because all I wanted was a device with a remote control, a decent sounding headphone output, and the ability to play my music from an external hard drive, which is kind of a niche thing apparently, because sometimes there is a restriction when it comes to the size of the USB device that you can use. You know, some devices only support USB thumb drives and they only support 32 gigabyte or something like that. So yeah, it is kind of a really niche thing, but this was the best that I could find for an affordable price. I think it costs something like $350 or something like this. I mean, there are devices out there that cost 500 or even 1,000 euros. So yeah, why should I get one of those things? I mean, this thing has a lot of things that I don't use. Like, I don't know, I'm going to use the digital radio. I don't think so. It has Wi-Fi, so I can connect it to my router, whatever you want to call it. I can connect it to my computer. I can connect it to a Bluetooth device, so I can play music from a smartphone or something like that. Or I can connect it to a NAS, a network attached storage. But, you know, those are all things that I don't want to do. So I just wanted to have a simple device. So what does it has? Look at the connections on the back. You can see we have the antenna connection. Mine has a digital antenna for the digital radio. It has a network connection for the LAN cable. It has a Wi-Fi antenna. It has a digital coax line in, optical line in. It has one RCA output and 4 RCA inputs. You can connect 4 8-ohm speakers or 2 16-ohm speakers. So yeah, it basically has everything that you could ask for, in my opinion. On the front, we have volume control, very nice and solid, very nice. We have a return button. We have the select button that you can turn. It's kind of a little bit clicky. And you can also push it to enter. Then we have tuning, input selection, treble and bass, preset, band, memory, mode and display. We have the USB input. Here we have the switches where you can switch between speakers A and B. So you can use either A or B, but you can also use A and B, you know, depending on what you want. Headphone input or output and power button. So let's just turn this thing on. So this is the clicking that you hear when it turns on the speakers. So SPA means speakers A are now selected. And the great thing is, if you plug in your headphones, it will automatically turn off the speakers. So you can hear a clicking, an internal clicking, if you connect your headphones. And also if you disconnect your headphones, it will automatically turn the speakers back on, which is also a very nice and neat little thing. So here you have the remote control, pretty simple remote control. I kind of don't really like the design because some of the buttons that I use, like the control buttons down here, you know, it feels kind of awkward to hold your remote control like this. It's kind of unpleasant, and it also feels as if you lose the grip every time you use those buttons down here. So I wish they would have moved those buttons up here. But yeah, that's apparently the way it is. So here we have a dimmer button, so we can dim the display. Apparently there are 4 different settings. Yeah, so it has 4 different dimmer functions. Unfortunately, there is no function to turn the display off completely, which is something that I would have liked. But yeah, dimmer function is better than no dimmer function, right? Then we also have a sleep timer. We can set it from 120 minutes all the way down to 30 minutes. Then, of course, we can switch between the speakers. We can select the different inputs. We have the same buttons right here. Memory is for memorizing what song you have been playing when the device has been turned off, so that you can continue where it left off, which is something that I didn't really store, but for some reason it still does it anyway. So it always continues where I left off. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it is a little bit annoying. Then of course selection, enter, home button, setup, return, option, volume control, various different things, and those controls down here. So let's go through some of the things that you can do. So now let's go through some of the functions with the setup button. So you can set up your network or Bluetooth. And by the way, Bluetooth doesn't mean that you control this device with a smartphone. It means that you are playing music from the smartphone or from the Bluetooth device. Balance, maximum volume, initial volume, auto power save standby, which is also very nice. So if there is no music playing or you're not doing anything, it turns itself off after a couple of minutes. So those are all the setup things. When it comes to options, we have volume trim, signal info, not really that many things. So it is pretty straightforward and pretty self-explaining. So now let's start using it with the external thumb drive, with the external hard drive, because there are a few things that I need to mention when it comes to that. So let's just plug it in. I can leave the remote control up there. So let's push the return button. So here I have put everything into categories. So the thing is, I couldn't find any information about the USB output when I bought this thing, because I wanted to know if there is a maximum size that I can use. The people at Yamaha told me there is no real limit, so you can probably also use 125 gigabyte thumb drives or 4 terabyte hard drives. At least that's what I assume. And the thing is, they also told me that it supports up to 8 subfolders or subdirectories or whatever you might call it, which is nice because that's what I like. So yeah, I can go through here. Then I have different things already on this hard drive. Here I don't know why it's using this thing because it's supposed to be a dot when I have it on my computer. I checked it, it's a dot. I don't know why it is this line right now instead of a dot. So here, this is the interesting thing. So here you can see there is a 0 and a 1 at the beginning. So this is the thing, I can't really create playlists with this device. So the only thing how I can create a playlist is by putting numbers in front of everything so that it plays everything in the order that I want. Yeah, it is a little bit stupid, but that's apparently the way it is. And every time you select something or every time you change something, it scrolls through the entire name again. So now let's just select that song. Do you notice something? All of a sudden the 1 and the 0 at the beginning is gone. See, there is no 1 and 0, or no 0 and 1. And that's because if you select your songs like this, those are actually the names of the file itself. But if you select the song, this is the name that is stored inside the file. I think it's called metadata. And yeah, this can be frustrating sometimes because sometimes there are informations in the metadata that ruin, the look of the display. They have a lot of underlining, or they use the name of the artist at the beginning and the name of the track at the end. So I have to change that. And probably some people want to know, well, how can I change the metadata? What kind of program can I use? And you can use almost every program like iTunes or Audacity and something like that. But the only program that I know of where you can change the metadata without importing and exporting the entire song is the VLC player. And I show you right now how to change the metadata with the help of the VLC player. So all you have to do is right click on the title and then go to media information, and this opens up this window, and here you can change all the informations that you want, including the title. And then if you changed something, for example like this, you just push enter and it activates that button here, and then you can click on that button and it saves everything. That's just how fast it goes. Unfortunately, you need the mouse to click on this button because you can't really use the keyboard to do that. It's a little bit stupid. So now let's talk about the thing that was the most important thing for me, the USB port. Like I said, you have basically 3 different options. You can use USB sticks, or USB thumb drives as they are called in some countries. You can use 2.5-inch hard drives and 3.5-inch hard drives. And there are benefits to almost every one of these things. But first let's start talking about the thumb drive. The problem with this receiver is that no matter what USB device you're using, it is being powered constantly. And this is kind of a little bit annoying. So if you're using a thumb drive and maybe you use the sleep timer or something like this, even if the device is turned off, well, in standby mode, the thumb drive is still active. And like I said, my girlfriend also has like a little compact stereo or micro stereo system with a USB port, and we have the same problem right there when it comes to the thumb drive. But the difference is, if the micro stereo system is turned into standby mode, the thumb drive keeps glowing, but it's glowing constantly. With the receiver, the thumb drive continues flashing. It's flashing, which basically means that it's reading something from the thumb drive. But the question is, why and what? What is it reading if it's turned into standby mode? It shouldn't be reading, it shouldn't be flashing. So what exactly is it that it does? I have absolutely no idea. So yeah, using a USB thumb drive isn't probably the best way to go. Then you have the ability to use external 3.5-inch hard drives. The problem is 3.5-inch hard drives are sometimes a little bit more noisy or a little bit louder than 2.5-inch hard drives. And then there is also the problem that 3.5-inch hard drives need their own power supply. So you need an extra plug for the power adapter. And you have to always turn the hard drive on and off, depending on if you want to use it or not. This can be good, but it can also be kind of problematic because, it's the same thing with a docking station. If you would use this receiver with a docking station, which is possible, it means that the docking station will stay on all night long if you're using the sleep timer function. So this is kind of a little bit problematic. So I would say the best option is an external 2.5-inch hard drive because it's quiet and it doesn't need extra power supply. It can be powered through the USB port, which is good. And yeah, here is the thing where it gets a little bit tricky. Usually if you're using a hard drive with a docking station or you are using an external hard drive, no matter if it's a 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch, you probably already noticed that if you don't use the hard drive for a couple of minutes, let's say 10 minutes, which means the computer isn't reading or writing something on it, after 10 minutes or so, the hard drive will turn itself off. It will stop spinning in order to save energy and also prolong the lifetime of the hard drive. And this is very good, especially if it's a 2.5-inch hard drive, because it means that it really turns itself off. But with a 3.5-inch hard drive, the entire hard drive case will remain turned on because you have to manually turn it off. So the problem is I had a 500 gigabyte 2.5-inch hard drive that I was using with my docking station, but I wanted to use it with the receiver. So I bought an external case for this hard drive, but when I was copying the music onto the hard drive, I noticed that no matter how long I was waiting, even if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes, the hard drive remained turned on. So it didn't turn itself off the way I thought it would. And that was really weird. So my girlfriend also has a 500 gigabyte 2.5-inch external hard drive, and I was trying it on my computer as well, and sure enough, after 5 minutes of not doing something, it turned itself off. So the light turned off and the hard drive also stopped spinning. So apparently it's not the controller of the hard drive itself that controls this, I don't know what I should call it, power save feature or whatever. It is also the controller of the docking station or of the external case that is controlling it. And the hard drive that I bought, or the case that I bought, was this one from IcyBox. And apparently this one doesn't have this feature that the hard drive turns off after 10 minutes. So yeah, I would say avoid those icy box cases. So in the end, I told my girlfriend about this problem, and because she doesn't need this feature that often, because her hard drive is just laying around somewhere as a backup, so she doesn't need that feature. So we exchanged hard drives, and now the hard drive works the way it's supposed to. But yeah, it shouldn't be that problematic. Really, it really shouldn't be that problematic. So is there anything else that I need to talk about? Well, like I said, the device has 4 RCA inputs, but it has no phono input. But you can still use your record player. All you need is a preamp, a phono preamp, and then it works. So yeah, I hope that I haven't forgot anything. Would I recommend this receiver? Definitely. It is very good. It has everything that I wanted. It also has gapless playback, which was also very important for me, and it works perfectly. So there are no problems with gapless playback. It supports 24-bit FLAC files. So it does everything that I want it to. So I would definitely highly recommend this device. It is probably the most affordable device of all the receivers, or whatever you call those devices. I don't know, streamers, multicast, I don't know what you call those devices. But I would definitely recommend it. I'm happy with it. And yeah, that's it. I hope the video was informative, even if I couldn't show you all the functions because I didn't use them. I don't have NAS. I don't want to stream music from my computer or from a USB or from a Bluetooth device. But yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video. Bye.